At some point, after enough disappointment, something in you makes a decision. Not consciously, not all at once, quietly, automatically. You decide, I'm never going to let that happen again. So you learn how to stay close without becoming vulnerable, how to be present without being emotionally available, how to give someone access to everything except access to the parts that matter most. And eventually, you become good at it. Until one day you realize, somewhere inside all that protection, you lost yourself. Welcome to the Weekly Fix. I'm John, a licensed social worker and therapist. And every week we explore one song, one emotional theme, and one clinical breakdown. And this week, we're talking about one of the most self-aware songs in modern R&B. Giveon released Lost Me as track 10 on his debut album, Give or Take. And what makes this song so powerful isn't the heartbreak. It's self-awareness. This song is where the narrator knows exactly what he's doing. He knows why he's doing it. He even knows it's costing him something. But he hasn't figured out how to stop. This episode is for the person who keeps people at arm's length. The person who's emotionally unavailable, but doesn't want to be. The person who says they're protecting their peace. The person who's starting to wonder if the wall is helping anymore. Stay with me. Before we talk about the words, let's talk about the sound. Because Giveon's voice tells the story before the lyrics do. Giveon's bass baritone creates a feeling of gravity, weight, reflection. The production is warm, patient, unhurried. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels dramatic. The music creates space for complexity, which is exactly what this song requires. This is a 3-part emotional arc. Part 1, awareness. He knows the pattern. He knows where things went wrong. And he knows growth is needed. Part 2, self-protection. He explains the strategy, the distance, the boundaries, and the reasons. Part 3, consequences. The wall remains, but so does the loneliness. And that's where the song becomes something deeper than a breakup or fling record. The most important moment in this song isn't the chorus. It's the spoken word outro. Because after spending the entire song defending emotional distance, Giveon leaves the listeners with a different question. Is the protection actually protecting him? Or has it become the thing causing the harm? The song isn't about emotional unavailability as a personality trait. It's about avoidant attachment, a learned survival strategy. Avoidant attachment develops when people learn that emotional vulnerability leads to disappointment. Need becomes associated with pain. Dependents feel unsafe. And eventually, the solution becomes need less, want less, feel less. At least on the surface. The title of this song is brilliant because it works in 2 directions. You want love, that's when you lost me. The other person loses access. I lost myself. The wall became so effective. It disconnected him from his own emotional life. The emotional arc starts with hurt. self-protection, distance, emotional isolation, recognition, the real loss. This song is for the person who's great at beginnings, but struggles with death. The person who leaves before they can be left. The person who values independence above everything. The person who secretly wants closeness, but fears what comes with it. Not because they're cold, because they've been hurt. Attachment theory teaches us that avoidant attachment is not a character flaw. It's an adaptation. A solution that once made sense. When emotional needs repeatedly go unmet, people often learn to stop expressing them. The nervous system adapts. Need becomes vulnerability. Vulnerability becomes risk. Risk becomes something to avoid. Avoidantly attached people often appear independent, self-sufficient, calm, emotionally controlled. But underneath that competence is often fear of needing someone. Because needing someone feels dangerous. There are 5 important moments in the song. Number 1, maybe one day I'll grow. Insight without change. The awareness is there, but the behavior remains. Number 2, avoiding repair. Rather than fixing the relationship, he moves on. The pattern stays intact. Number 3, I always get hurt. The wound is real. The protection is understandable. The question becomes, is it still helping? Number 4, don't fall for me. One of the most revealing moments in a song. He isn't trying to hurt anyone. He's warning them. That makes the song sadder, not better. And number 5, feeling it after the loss. The impact finally arrives after the relationship ends. A common avoidant pattern. The feelings show up when the distance is permanent. This is one of the most important distinctions in the entire episode. Physical closeness and emotional closeness are not the same thing. A person can be fully available physically while remaining emotionally inaccessible. And that's exactly the tension this song captures. At what point does self-protection stop protecting you? At what point does the wall become the problem? That's the question Giveon leaves with us. The song ends with advice. Protect your heart. And that's good advice. But here's the challenge. There are healthy ways to protect your heart. And there are lonely ways. The goal isn't to remove the boundaries. The goal is to build boundaries that still allow connection. If you've listened to the previous episodes, you've heard this story before. Taylor Swift's eldest daughter explored how armor gets built. Justin Bieber's devotion explored what it looks like to slowly lower it. Lost Me lives right in the middle. The armor is still running the show. But now the person inside of it can finally see it. Here's your reflection question this week. Where in your life are you present, but not fully available? Is it a relationship, a friendship, even your relationship with yourself? Where have you built safety at the cost of connection? Here's this week's reframe. Self-protection and self-erasure is not the same thing. Healthy protection helps you stay connected to yourself. Self-erasure disconnects you from your own emotional life. The goal isn't to stop protecting your heart. The goal is to protect it without locking yourself out of it. This week, think about a moment when you felt something meaningful. A feeling, a connection, a desire, and then immediately minimized it. Distracted yourself, moved past it. Ask yourself, what would have happened if I stayed in that feeling for 30 more seconds? Not acted on it, not explained it, just stayed with it. Just stayed in it. That's where the work begins. The most important moment in Lost Me happens near the end. Not when Giveon explains the wall. When he noticed the cost of it. Because awareness is where the change starts. Not transformation, not healing, awareness. The moment you realize the strategy isn't working the way it was supposed to. This has been a weekly fix. And this week's fix was Giveon's Lost Me. And the psychology of avoidant attachment, emotional distance, and the self we sometimes lose while trying to protect ourselves. If this frequency met you where you are today, follow the show and share it with someone who may need it. And remember, music is like medicine. Here's your fix. This week's intentional listening. Frank Ocean, self-control. For longing that stays at a distance. SZA, Good Days. For learning to remain emotionally open. Daniel Caesar, Superposition. For what happens when vulnerability begins to feel safe. Leon Bridges, River. For carrying the weight of what you've withheld. The Weeknd, Call Out My Name. For the consequences of love filtered through self-protection. Be sure to click on the link in the description to check out all of our playlists on Spotify. The frequency fix is for educational and informational purposes only. This content does not constitute therapy, clinical advice, or a therapist-client relationship of any kind. If you're navigating relationship patterns or emotional concerns that feel difficult to move through on your own, please connect with a licensed mental health professional in your area. If you're in crisis, call or text 988 for immediate support.